Attending the University of Michigan back during the late 70s and 80s was a very different time than it is at the present. We had a lot more resources and things that we could turn to provide us with greater opportunities to attend college.
When I actually got accepted to U of M, I was really excited. My mom's an alumni, so it was just really exciting for me to just live like in her footsteps. And then I had a really good experience. I was in a bridge program.
Coming to campus to me was surprising. Like, I didn't expect to be sometimes one of the only black people in my class, people in my class. That was just surprising just because, I don't know, I felt, they say it's so diverse and everything, and you see black people around and stuff like that, but where they at when it comes to your class?
Okay, so coming to college, it was very interesting. So I came from a private, majority white high school, and I came to college, and I actually wasn't surprised. I was around majority white people. I was the only black person in my class.
So I graduated from Cass Tech in 2012, and I really did not want to come to the University of Michigan. I was offered going to HBCU. I was supposed to go to Howard University. I was accepted to Howard University, and then I realized I can't afford Howard University, so the University of Michigan gave me a full ride. My cost of attendance is $1, and I decided that I was going to come here. And I mean, it was real cool, besides the fact that they told me, you have to do a summer bridge program. And I'm like, what is this bridge? Like, can I just swim under it and still get to campus? Like, I'm very...
When I was looking at brochures about Michigan, I'm seeing a diverse group of people. They're all happy to be together. They're all happy to be here. So I'm thinking, when I get to Michigan, oh my goodness, I'm going to meet all these different people, and we're just going to have a grand old time getting our diplomas for these next 4 years. It's going to be a great experience. No. When I first came to campus, when my parents were dropping me off, moving me into my dorm in Oxford, I'm looking around, I'm the only black girl here. No, I'm sorry. There was 2 other black girls there.
Realize that, hey, you're one of the only people that kind of look like you in the class. So it's kind of very strange. And then you have small microaggressions like, oh, do you need help? So you have people that think that they're helping you in areas where you don't really need help. So people they're doing it out of the kindness of their heart, but they don't realize what they're really doing. And they're called microaggressions. So when you have people saying things like, oh, do you feel like you need extra help, or is this the right class for you? Or when
one time in one of my classes last semester where we had to create a group essay, and by creating this group essay, we had to incorporate our individual essays into one and basically combining them and making them relevant to one another. I was the only one in my group who had gotten an A on her individual paper, and the rest of the 3 young ladies who were in my group, they hadn't done as well. But they felt the need to really grill me with questions and basically kind of imply that everything that I was doing was incorrect and they were right, and everything and every idea that I had presented to the group, I was being questioned, I was being shot down.
So taking these classes in the business school, especially in being usually the only black male or one of the only black males, I do feel like initially at least my white classmates have this initial feeling of, oh, well, he is here, but so that does mean that he's qualified, but is he really that qualified for me to trust him on a group project?
In classes, I feel like I've been fortunate to be a part of learning communities and IGR and things where I've been able to learn how to handle those awkward things, handle those awkward situations, just know how to talk through them. But a lot of black students aren't able to have those experiences. They don't have the access to, they don't know about the Michigan learning communities. They don't know about IGR coming in. They barely know about MESA probably, so.
Because these people, can't relate to me. They're not trying to be my friends. They're not coming up to me like, hey, what's your name? They're not introducing themselves. They're not being friendly. It's more of a outsider type feel.
In terms of the class environment, I think that because I was in a major that was definitely left me isolated because I was the only black history of art major at that time that I was at U of M, it made joining a black organization even more important for me. It was something that gave me solace. It gave me a space that let me be comfortable and be myself.
So black orgs on like PWI campuses are really important. When you are surrounded by people that don't look like you, don't understand you, never seen someone like you in your life, like you have to find a safe haven. And when you have black and brown organizations that continue to invest in these communities, then you find a safe haven. Like there has never been a time at the University of Michigan where black and brown people outnumbered the mass majority of white students. There will never be a time where black and brown students will outnumber the mass majority of white students. So we have to create a safe haven for ourselves where we can thrive culturally, academically, spiritually, politically, and all that good stuff. And, you know, be able to, you know, congregate with our friends and say,
just make them feel welcome and comfortable and make them feel accepted as much as possible on this campus. Because I know lots of times we tend to get into the habit of thinking that we don't belong here, or it's not fun to be here sometimes because of the things that we do experience. We kind of let that deter us from having I think, what should be a true college experience.
PWIs, predominantly white institutions, it's really important for students, for African American students to have black spaces on campus. And those black spaces can be, for example, we have a multicultural center, or they can actually be not a physical place. They can be around a group of sort of like-minded individuals. So when I joined the Black Student Union, that gave me a black space that I was able to kind of be myself.
At that time, I didn't really know much about the Black Student Union. I just knew, hey, it's a bunch of niggas in a group. I'm a nigga. Let me go over here because I know they'll feel me. So, yeah, I really enjoyed my experience. My first real experience with the Black Student Union.
I love the Black Student Union with everything inside of me, but if I go to Cass Tech and people say, you know, is U of M hard? Yes, U of M is very hard. It's academically challenging, but it's racially challenging as well because every day you're tested. Whether it's in a classroom where you're the only black woman. I'm the only black woman graduating in the class of 2016 Sport Management Program, School of Kinesiology. Like, you don't know how intimidating that is to walk in a class and not only be a woman, to be black, because it's the stereotypes that I have to deal with, that she's loud, wretched, ghetto, and she's poor.
Black organizations are vital for our community to even have some type of sanity, because institutionally there's no places carved out explicitly for us past the Department of Afro and African American Studies. Past that, it's like we have to go to administration and say, hey, we want to do this, we want to have that.
It's just so important that's how you tie into retention. When you have black spaces for students, you know, your retention rate rises. So for example, I'm in Alpha Phi Alpha, and with all of so within everybody that that joins our fraternity, we have a 100% graduation rate. Everybody graduates. So those sort of spaces really work for us.
When you can find groups of affinity, and I would say for in this case, black organizations or organizations that are centered on specific ethnic identities, they are so critical because it serves multiple purposes. It's a safe space. It's a shared understanding that when I walk into a room with other black folks, they are navigating the same white world that I do, and that there is a collective understanding of what that is, even though it may manifest differently.
Really interesting, and then we moved into the hashtag BBUM movement. Tyrell, the former speaker, 2 former speakers ago, he decided that we needed to do something innovative. We needed to make sure that black voices on campus were highlighted. So he just like, well, we should do a hashtag, you know, something that somebody's never done. And we're just like sitting in e-board, at the time I was secretary, and we're like, yeah, like that would be dope. We had no idea that would blow up the way it did.
The outcome of that hashtag BBUM was honestly a positive thing in my light. Yes, or in my opinion, yes, it shed light on to negative things that were happening, such as people's run-ins with racism on campus. And we want to sit around and play like racism is dead and we don't discriminate when it happens all the time. So I was appreciative that it shed light on my peers' struggles.
I appreciate the Black Student Union for even developing that hashtag, because it was just like a safe space for different students on campus to be able to say how we feel being here at U of M, and also just what we go through, different experiences that we may have had, and just kind of voicing our opinions and just letting it be known, like, what's going on within our Black community, because a lot of people don't know, and it's, if you don't know, you can't fix anything or any issues that are actually happening.
I was one of the original board members when hashtag BBUM happened and things of that sort, and I was really excited, you know. I was really excited because, you know, BSU has this history, this rich history of fucking shit up. What I mean by fucking shit up is being like radicals, like not, you know, listening to what the status quo is or what people, you know, really expect for African Americans to be. And I was just really excited to join that legacy, especially with all the racist things that was happening on campus. Like,
when it comes to BBUM as a movement, I think it was very vital that we were able to share our experiences. I know personally, being an organizational studies alum, I was the only Black man in my major for 2 whole years, so I definitely felt like sometimes we're talking about Black issues. It's like, hey, Dan, what's it like? I'm like,
The students began talking after the freeze out and the other events on campus. I knew that there had to be more, that there had to be a way of continuing this conversation, and not in the traditional ways, because I pay attention to how students interact, and the majority of them do use social media so very well in ways that I'm still learning, and that this is a way to reach others when you can't reach others using traditional means.
And I was on Twitter one day, and I all of a sudden saw like Tyrell and a couple other main BSU people start tweeting about BBUM. So automatically I was like, oh, I wonder what this is. And then I think the next morning or that night or something, it ended up coming out that it was Being Black at University of Michigan. And this excited me because coming to a school where I was already really proud to be in the Black community, because all of the people I could relate to so well and were so similar to me, I was excited to be able to express the challenges that we do face here in a united way and be able to work towards change.
BVN is cool. I love it. It's Black Volunteer Network. We really work to provide the inner community and the outer community with a safe place to like volunteer and express that helping need to help others.
When you don't have those spaces, it's like you're drowning in your own insecurities, you're questioning yourself. You know, you don't have these spaces to talk about these things. Black orgs are empowering. They give you opportunities to do volunteer work, to go outside of yourself, meet new people that can help you with networking, finding jobs.
It is so critical that there are spaces where you can feel not othered, where you can be central to the conversation and be understood without having to justify your emotions of the day. I talk about it in terms of, you know, at the beginning of the day when your phone is charged and you go throughout the day, and the more apps you use is to deal with different things. So if I have to deal with a racist comment over here, students not picking me for a study group over here, people silencing my voice over here, it's using my battery, so that by the time I'm at 3 o'clock, I'm at empty. And other folks, white students, may not have to navigate that, don't navigate that in the same way. They're on 82% when we're on 33%.
One student made a comment saying that basically you could be any race that you want to be. That's different from your real race. So basically saying if I wanted to go around telling people that I'm white, that was okay, that was acceptable. Or if people wanted to go around and say that they're Black, then that's okay and that's acceptable. This comment stirred a lot of tension in the classroom. And I think that it's ignorance like that in the world that kind of just keeps the whole notion of these colorisms, this cultural appropriation, this assimilation, and things like this going in society, because these are the type of people who are making these top decisions on what's right in society and what's
wrong. I want to talk about culture appropriation. Y'all think y'all want to say that it's cool for people to get these things done to their body to make them look more like me, make them look more black. But before, y'all was clowning us for it. We weren't good enough for having big hips or big lips and things like that, and nappy hair and dreads and stuff like that. We were never good enough. What?
I know when I was younger, I used to get called an African booty scratcher, and I really just didn't like that. That sucked. My hair was very nappy and it was very unkempt. I didn't really care too much about. I didn't care too much about keeping my hair any type of way, and that people would call me things like African booty scratcher and Rafiki, things like that, and so I was very insecure about that after a while.
So all my life, I've been a victim of colorism. I'm dark skinned. Like, that's the first thing you see me like. First thing you see me is not, oh, that's a nice young woman. That's a black woman. And as a kid, I was tar baby. I was black as hell. And no one wants to be with a dark skinned girl. So, I just learned to get tough skin. I mean, the same people who talked about me and my skin color growing up now slide in my DMs very often.
And also within our black community, we just have times where we focus on what type of shade we want to date. So you'll hear on social media sometimes like team light skin or team dark skin or things like that. And I just think that's not really important. I think all different shades are beautiful. I think that I just think that that can tear us apart within our own community.
Yes, we had a cipher, a rap cipher, and two people were going at it, and somebody said something about this girl being like black as beep, and I just was just like, I didn't know what to say. Like, I was just like, are we really talking about this? Like, are you really, like, this is your comeback to this woman? Like, you're a man talking to a woman about her being black? Like, so what? Like, I mean, your mama is black. Like, I mean,
well, I remember I used to have a motto of light, bright, indoor white was the only type of guys that I would date. And it wasn't until I got here that I realized that mindset of thinking is so detrimental to the fucking black community. Like, it's insane. The fact that I base my mate on the color of his skin and not the content of his character. Sorry to go MLK, but that's the best way I could possibly think of it at this point.
Is when you have separation and discrimination in your own group in which you feel like you should feel safe in, it's very hard because who really accepts you? Like, when are you really accepted? And me, I'm of a darker complexion. They have the whole light skin versus dark skin, now brown skins through themselves in it to feel important. No shade. But yeah, it's just weird because why are we talking about the shades of our skin? Why are we having these conversations about our skin color when we already receive so much oppression outside of our race?
Last week, I get the question like, oh, what are you mixed with? And it's like, why is that even something that you ask me? Why do you feel compelled that because my skin is lighter and because my eyes are green or blue, whatever the case is, I can't just be black? Black people are so beautiful because they come in a multitude of shades and colors, and their skin and their hair texture and their eye colors and their features can range and be various.
Being white at Michigan, you really don't have to think about the issues that the black community goes through every day, and you don't have to, be thinking, oh, how could I like better include this whole entire demographic at Michigan, even though it should be a question that everyone is constantly asking themselves during the day so that, there can be an inclusive community on campus. Unfortunately, many people don't. So I thought that it was good that finally, even though it made people uncomfortable, I feel like getting uncomfortable at some point and getting out of the comfort zone is the best way to make sure that change happens, and you really can't have change without someone being uncomfortable, because the reason that there's an issue is because some people are comfortable with the issue, so they aren't helping those who aren't comfortable with the issue to work to solve it.
Environment, that our admissions numbers have fallen, and that the results of that are these hard, challenging, hurtful, hateful experiences that land on our students whose only desire is to get an education.
A lot of the policies we have today are because black people stood up and said, fuck that. You're going to treat me as an equal individual, or I'm going to cause a riot. I'm going to protest. I'm not going to be okay with the status quo. And no matter how many roadblocks people put in front of African Americans, we always find a way to overcome them.
We, of course, are now more educated in this generation than we were during the Middle Ages, when the majority of the populace couldn't even read. We have, as humans, made great substantial gains. Now, what do we do about that? How do we continue to build? We've got to start young. We've got to start with our little ones, get them involved in being proud of their blackness, get them in.
I think I'm proud to be black because it stems from me being both equally parts black and white. Just the simple fact that I know I take pride in being interracial, especially since the fact that my parents grew up in like the deep South, where racial tension was out of this world.
But like it helped me to like really stand strong in my blackness and really recognize it and appreciate it, and realize that, you know, even though that we, like, a lot of people do go through a lot of messed up things, like, you know, discrimination, racism, you know, we do stand strong as a people. We are
Being black is great just because the simple fact of all the things that's been thrown at us, all the things that we've gone through, slavery, Jim Crow, black codes, making up mental illnesses about runaway slaves, and like just these ridiculous things that they've cast upon us, and yet we still are successful. We
There is that there's some kind of shared sense of belonging and connectivity, especially in the face of such division and separation, that we still have those moments of, I get it, I see you, I hear you, I feel you. That's what I love about being black.
I'm proud to be black because I don't know, my black is everything to me. Like it down to the way I dress, the way I talk, the way I see things, the way people view me. It's me. It's everything. Like it's who I am, and it's.
I'm black and I'm proud. I'm unapologetically black.
I am unapologetically black.
I'm unapologetically black.
And I am unapologetically black.
I'm amazing. And on top of that, I am unapologetically black in America.